Yo, what's good, everybody? It's your boy Jamal _Haki. And today, we are here with another reaction video for you guys. Listen to me. Eventually, I'm gonna start doing some reviews on some stuff. I think I might want to save reviews to after I finish nursing school. But enough of that. We are here for this video. As you can see in the title, how to understand the Moors, right? So I'm familiar with Moors or Moors in history. How I personally got familiar with Moors was through Hidden Color. If anyone's watching this that is familiar with Hidden Color, familiar with people like Dr. Umar Johnson and some other people that was affiliated with that project, putting together information, discussing and sharing Black history or information about our culture that has yet to be revealed into like school curriculum and stuff like that, stuff that they're not telling our people, you know what I mean? So I think and I hope what I'm listening to is something that's in that direction, because I care about I want to make sure I'm saying this word correctly, Black diaspora. So yeah, let's go ahead and jump into the video, man, because I mean I care about stuff like that, and I feel like anybody that's Black should care about our history, our lineage, our like where we came from, like the amazingness, the epicness, and all the stuff that we was doing back then, that we created, that we put out into the universe and stuff like that. You know what I mean? Yeah. We don't get enough credit for that. So without further ado, let's go ahead and whoa. This is my reaction screen for my music videos. We gotta switch that. Let's get it.
So I had to do this video over due to copyright issues. My deepest apologies for the unintended infringement. Anyway, if you've already seen this video, please forgive me for the repost, but I think it's an important discussion.
I haven't seen the video.
History. Moorish history is probably top 3 as it concerns mainstream African history. The African diaspora can't seem to get enough of it.
There we go, African
The Moors
diaspora
represent so many different things to us as Afro-descended people, but perhaps the most valuable thing this history achieves for us is a sense that Afro-descended people achieved glory. Why? Well, because Moorish history simply demands respect and cannot be ignored. However, despite all this, Moorish history for Afro-descended people has always carried an asterisk, a blemish if you will, because the identity of the Moors is constantly challenged. So today, I wanted us to get a better understanding about who the Moors were and talk about our role as Afro-descended people in establishing Moorish legacy.
Let's talk. I'm here for this, baby. I'm here. I'm here for this. Let's go. A home for the diaspora. That's fire.
What up, African world? It's MC Mir, and welcome back to another video of African history, culture, and worldview. By supporting this channel on Patreon, you're helping in the creation of these videos and supporting this content. If you'd like access to full courses and sources, or you simply want to show your support, you may do so by clicking the Patreon link in the description box below. The term Moor itself consistently referred to Muslims from North Africa, whether they were referring to the various Amazigh populations or other Africans who originated further south in places like Senegal, Guinea, or Mali. Despite what we in the diaspora may think, the term Moor is very broad, and it's been used interchangeably between these two populations, and was never used exclusively to refer to either of them in the literature. On some occasions, you'd even hear Europeans differentiating between the so-called white Moors and black Moors. There are many Moorish dynasties we can discuss, but my focus will be the Almoravids and the Almohads, so please keep that in mind. When the African diaspora thinks about a Moor, they tend to think of the black soldiers or rulers who conquered Spain, but we hardly ever refer to the names of the actual dynasties who accomplished this. It's important to be specific when speaking about Moorish history. When Islam spread across North Africa in the 7th century, many Africans converted and created their own Islamic armies to further the cause. These armies later became known as the Moors to various Europeans. It may surprise some of us to learn that black soldiers have been used in the Middle East since ancient times. They were not new. It was only because of the mobilization of Islam and the great number in which various Africans joined forces that they then became known as Moors later on in history. Under various Persian rulers, Africans were employed as mercenaries in armies to help conquer and control new regions. Africans in Nubia specifically had a world-renowned reputation for being excellent archers, and their services were in high demand. Even before the Arabs swept across North Africa, black soldiers were present in their armies. One of the earliest mentions of a black soldier, or what Europeans would later refer to as a Moor, was named Washi. Washi lived during the time of Muhammad, and it was said that he distinguished himself in battle, especially during the capture of Mecca. The truth is, in the early days of Islam, Arabs began to extend their hand to enslave people, whether they were from the Middle East or North Africa. They began to entice them to join their armies, and in return, they would gain freedom. This was an excellent strategy by the Arabs to gain a huge loyal following, and it greatly diversified their military ranks. Over time, this strategy began to be used amongst the Amazigh populations who converted to Islam. In the 9th century, North African slave armies became more desirable as ambitious Amazigh governors sought them out to create autonomous principalities. They believed these soldiers from Inner Africa would be loyal to them in totality because they didn't come from the ethnic group of the governor, and so was not invested in the needs and concerns of the majority population. The North African caliphs themselves began to adopt this tradition to comfortably enforce their power and not worry about any Arab or Amazigh dissidents. In other words, the recruitment of black men further south became the very backbone of Moorish supremacy. Now, it's important to understand that black soldiers were always used in Islamic armies even before the 9th century, but they did not become supreme, if you will, until about this time. For example, under the Umayyad dynasty, the first emir of Cordoba in Spain, Abd al-Rahman I, who came to the throne in 756, was known to have kept a large personal guard of black troops. He founded the Muslim dynasty that ruled a large portion of Spain for nearly 3 centuries, and all of his successors used black soldiers, especially to maintain order. Now, here's where a lot of the confusion comes in. People may look at early Moorish history and say, well, the Moors were black people. However, we can't ignore the presence of Arab or Amazigh soldiers. In fact, at various times in Moorish history, there were more Arab and Amazigh soldiers than black soldiers, especially before the 9th century. If there is to be any value in the statement of saying the Moors were black people, we have to keep in mind that it's time sensitive, because when discussing events before the 9th century, we can only use it to express how black soldiers were used to reinforce the Sultan's power. When the
Okay, so that's why I appreciate videos like this, because what he's doing is he's kind of breaking it down and explaining, as the title says, how to understand the Moors. And I think that's important because, again, someone on my end that doesn't have as much knowledge as this person, I may think like, oh, Moors, black people, right? But as he stated right there, you know, when you mention Moors and you connect black people or African people to that of the name Moor, the word Moors, you have to think about the time of it, because then you could be referring to someone who was like I said, Arabic, or, well, Arabic is a language, but yeah, you know what I'm saying? You could refer to someone else other than somebody that's black, basically. All right, let's continue.
9th century arose, the face of the Moors began to change fairly quickly. Ahmad Tulin, who came to power in 884, the first independent ruler of Muslim Egypt, began to rely heavily on black soldiers, most of which came from Sudan, many of them Nubian. Upon his death, he's said to have possessed 24,000 so-called white soldiers and 45,000 black soldiers. In essence, his army consisted of black men. His son was protected by 1,000 black soldiers alone. One chronicler had this to say: wearing black cloaks and black turbans, so that a watcher could fancy them to be a black sea spreading over the face of the earth because of the blackness of their color and of their garments, with the glitter of their shields, of the chasing on their swords, and of the helmets under their turbans. They made a really splendid sight. So it would seem as though the 9th century really ushered in the power of black soldiers, giving Moorish armies its distinction. Any European army who had never seen black soldiers in such great numbers would have certainly spoken about it and identified them as being the power of the Muslims. And if we look throughout the literature, this is indeed the case. This is why Europeans in their artwork oftentimes represented the power of the Moors with an image of a black man. This is why the focus on the Almoravids and the Almohads is significant when speaking about our contribution as Afro-descended people to Moorish history.
See, what they did right there, they just connected some of the stuff I learned from Hidden Color to what he's saying, like how they're highlighting the depiction of how, you know, there's these black people in turbans, and even over here in United States, where you'll see like someone next to another person, and people are like, oh, is that a slave? No, slaves didn't wear turbans, so that was clearly someone that was Moor. Or again, in Europe, there's depictions and artworks of black people who are Moors. That makes sense. Okay.
Because these two Moorish ruling dynasties in Spain arguably used the most black soldiers and had rulers who were indistinguishable from the various African ethnic groups further south, like in the case of Yaqub al-Manzur of the Almohads, whom I consider the greatest Moorish leader in the history of Muslim Spain. His mother was a black woman believed to be from either Mali or Senegal. One of the primary reasons for the rapid growth of black soldiers was the need for North African Amazigh rulers to have complete control over their soldiers and not be challenged by any intermediate power or opposing ethnic loyalties that would come from Arabs or other Amazigh clans. It would be very difficult for black soldiers originating from the interior of Africa to rally up the local Arab or Amazigh populace because of the ideological, social, and political divisions between them. It was black men who served to maintain the ruler in his palace, protect the capital, and uphold imperial authority. The Moorish tradition of black soldiers continued to develop in Morocco centuries after their expulsion from Spain in 1492. In the 17th century to the early 18th century, the Sultan of Morocco, Moulay Ismail, made great use of black soldiers to solidify his power. He himself was the son of an Arab prince and a black woman. Moulay Ismail felt the immediate threat to his rule would come from the Arabs, Amazighs, and the Turks in Algeria. He assembled the largest army in Moroccan history, consisting of 250,000 black soldiers, allowing him to exert great authority through which he was able to undermine the power and influence of local tribal groups in his nation. Moulay went even further by demanding that the other Moroccan ethnic groups turn over their weapons and their horses to his all-black Moorish army. Our agency in Moorish history as Afro-descended people cannot be denied, as it so often has. There just needs to be balance when speaking about the Moors. We need to be specific about time periods and dynasties because diversity did indeed exist. Moorish history is akin to a blanket. We just have to identify our specific thread that makes up a part of the whole. Well, I'm all out, guys. If you like these videos and want to help in its continued production, consider supporting the home team on patreon.com.
That's a good video.
The link is in the description box below. Know thyself. Remember your ancestors. Peace.
Good video. Good video. Oh! I mean, he pretty much said it right there. That actually helped me out a lot with what he just said in the video. Just having a good understanding of Moors history, because again, I feel like I'm someone who's been in a situation of speaking on Moors or speaking up, not like in terms of like an argument or a debate, but like, hey, if it's mentioned on TV or a little something like, yeah, it's like, yeah, I know what, but actually, do I really know? And so I love his explanation. I love his breakdown because they allow me to gain a better understanding for again, like the African diaspora, the part of the history that is integral to that of, you know, what part did black people or African people play in the whole Moor, you know, thing, right? And like you said, it's kind of like a blanket. Moors itself is like a blanket, and this is just about knowing what part of the thread do we represent, or what part of the blanket do we represent, because we as black people are not the entirety of that blanket. Does that make sense, y'all?
Of course, of course.
That's it for the video, man. If you like what you see, make sure you like, comment, subscribe, do all that good stuff. Hit the bell to be notified. And if you're new to the channel, Check out the affiliates down below. It's your boy Jamal _Haki. Peace out.
I'm at the top of my game. It's only Christ to blame. We know the reason you came. Diamonds and dollars and chains. How about you? Sit back. I got this. Relax. Who said I changed up? Yeah, cause I said I'ma need racks.